Well, it certainly has been scenes like the Royal Easter Show at Clubman Angle here today, with the country folk arriving in force up against the city slickers. One of those country gentlemen who's arrived here today hoping to take away some of the city prize money is Grant Coelli, and he joins me now. Well, Grant, great to catch up with you once again. As I mentioned in the introduction, all the country folk are here today.
Yeah, we made the trip up. Good prize money. It's a good series, the Blue, and it's a good one to get behind for our horses. It's probably a little bit weaker than what the Breeders' Challenge Series is overall, so it's a chance for us to race for some pretty serious money. Makes the trip worthwhile.
You've got a rare day off from your teaching duties.
I do. I teach at Yanko Agricultural High School. It's a fully residential boarding school, and we have a mid-term break where the kids are able to go home for the weekend. So I had a Friday and a Monday off, an extra long weekend, so it slotted in pretty well with these heats.
You would have no trouble working out the odds. You're a maths teacher.
Odds has been a bit of a forte. It's my father's a bookmaker as well, so I'm a maths teacher and a bookie's son. So probability is probably a specialty of mine.
Your dad, Terry Jr., skipped the generations as far as being involved in harness racing as a trainer or driver.
Yeah, my father, he never really got into the training or the breeding, or he might have owned the odd couple of horses along the way, but bookmaking and punting has always been sort of his go, and he's been an on-track bookie, both at the trots, but he started out at the trots. He did the Metrops and that a lot at Leeton, as well as on-course bookmakers throughout the Riverina in the late 80s, early 90s, before the sort of bookies started to die off. He crossed over to the Gallops. He does everywhere in the SDR8. Canberra's probably the furthest that he travels to, and about 9 months ago he opened up an online one as well called Terrybet. So that's sort of been his main focus at the moment.
Greg, you've arrived here today with your prized star performer as far as being a stable hand is concerned, your daughter Evie.
Yeah, the most valuable member of the stable as well, I'll add. Evie's the youngest of my three daughters, and she's probably the one who's shown the most interest in the horses. My middle child's actually allergic to the horses, so she has a bit of trouble coming out to give me a hand, but Evie comes out almost every arvo, and she's always keen to muck out the stables and do the jobs that no one else really likes doing, so she's a pretty valuable asset around the farm.
Third generation, as far as you're concerned, following in the footsteps of your grandfather, Terry Sr.
Yeah, my grandfather was a trainer and a breeder and an owner for many, many years. He was the one who sort of introduced me to that side of the horses. I had nothing to do with the horses until sort of early 20s, where I had a pretty rough week on the punt and said it'd be cheaper to own these things, and I was probably wrong there as well, but I went and bought one with absolutely no idea what to do with it, and said, "Pop, can you teach me how to train these things?" And so I think he often reminds me, he said, "I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I do."
Your grandfather had two horses which I followed with great interest, Man Hands and in particular No Identity.
Yeah, No Identity was his sort of pin-up horse. David Ural trained it down in our area, but Pop bred it and owned it throughout its career. He was a really, really fast horse, lovely gaited animal. He won a Simpson Sprint, and then he went down to Brian Gath, who had him for a few months down in Melbourne, and he won a Ballarat Cup, and I think there was a couple of Inter-Dominion winners in that field. It was a pretty strong Ballarat Cup, and it was the last one on the old Ballarat track as well before they redid the surface. So he actually broke the track record that night for the long trip. So you could argue that he probably still holds it for the old track. But yeah, he broke down in that race and never raced again. So that was a little bit sad. But he did a wonderful job for our family, and I know Dad and my Uncle Matt, there's some funny videos of them celebrating winning punts on it when it was a younger horse while Dave had it. Yeah, he was a great horse for our family.
Like your grandfather, you're a very astute breeder, and you've got a good association with Alabar Farms.
Yeah, I sort of delved into the breeding probably more by accident when we retired a mare and had nothing to do with her. Coincidentally, the mother of the horse that I have here today, and she's just turned out to be a real little broodmare gem for us, have developed a bit of a relationship with Alabar and through Brett Coffey, and Brett sent up a crew to do a little video on a yearling chestnut filly that I had by Ride High, one of his first crop. I had a few wraps on her, so the pressure was on, and she ended up being his first winner as a stallion. So that was a bit of a feather in the cap for me to put the wraps on one, and she actually did come out and perform on the racetrack. She's trialling tonight as well back home, so fingers crossed everything goes well there.
You're very excited about this particular filly, and she does look to have a lot of pluses as far as conformation, the way she paces. She ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, she's a fast filly. She has a bit of bottom as well. She come up for the Pink Bonnet. I sent her up here for a couple of weeks with Jared Olchin, and she probably just didn't settle in. She is a chestnut, not only by colour but also by nature. So she does have a little bit of fire in her. When she's settled and doing everything right, yeah, she's got her fair share of ability, and she's going to be a fun little horse to poke around the stables for sure.
Last time I caught up with you, Grant, you were here with a horse called Ask the 8 Ball, and unfortunately went amiss and no longer with us.
Yeah, he was probably the best horse I think I've had. He was a colt, but just had the best nature, really, really cool animal to be around. He did go amiss after I had him here for it was a New South Wales bred series. And yeah, he went amiss, and I give him 12 months off, and I got him back to the track, and then something happened, and we sort of never ever got to the bottom of it. But his kidneys shut down. It was some type of poisoning, but we were never really exactly sure on what happened. We had autopsies and everything. They sort of come back inconclusive, but. Yeah, he met a pretty sad demise for what was a really promising little horse.
Well, he wouldn't be the first that's fallen victim to a snake bite either.
No, that's right. We tested feeds, and we just sort of the uni and Wagga were great. They really tried to help us out, but just never really got to the bottom of exactly what happened.
As we learned the last time, you're a great fan of the Seinfeld show, and you name your horses after those particular episodes, Us the 8 Ball being one of them. You're here today with a horse called Papier Mâché. You might like to explain that one.
Yeah, so Papier Mâché, it comes from one of the episodes where George is breaking up with a girlfriend about for being a little bit pretentious. And one of the reasons that he gave is that she doesn't say paper mache, she says papier mache. And because this fella was by Ultimate Machete, I thought, that's probably a loose link that I can make to Seinfeld there. So yeah, that's where the papier mache comes from.
No doubt you're jotting down more names from Seinfeld shows just in case.
Yeah, I every series I've got a big list of notes in my phone, and I just pull it out each time I've got a naming form and write 6 off it.
You've played country football for a number of years in various areas.
Yeah, I loved me footy growing up. I played for Leeton Greenies, and then went away to uni and played a bit at West Belconnen and Woden in Canberra, and only just a battler, but I come back and played for Yanko Moon probably until I was about 29. I broke my jaw actually in a semi-final, and I went from a 105 kilo prop to about 80 kilos in an off season, not being able to eat. And then I said, no, I can't do this anymore. But I needed something else to do, so that was probably when I got a few extra horses and started breeding a few more. I'm a competitive person by nature, so that was the training of the trotters sort of come in as footy went out. It was good timing for me.
Grand Country, harness racing, country, rugby league, there's nothing like it.
No, I know. I did avoid going to the footy for a lot of years afterwards, solely because I knew I'd get an itch to want to come back, and I did in fact make one belated one that didn't go too well a few years later, but I've started to go back to the footy a little bit now, and actually I just copped a phone call the other day asking me to commentate the Group 20 Grand Final at home. I haven't answered them yet, but I'll probably do that as long as there's no races that it clashes with.
Good, that sounds like a no-brainer. You'll have to give us a copy of that.
Yeah, I don't mind the sound of my own voice, actually, as you can probably tell. I call the trials back home at Leeton just for a bit of fun. Certainly not something that I'm pursuing, but just anywhere where I can help out. And yeah, that's something that I'd be happy to do for Group 20 to kick it along a little bit.
Well, we look forward to that new chapter in your career.
Yeah, I hope that career's short-lived. I'd like the trots to outlast that one a bit.
Good luck with Papier Mâché.
Thanks, mate.